Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Lieutenant Joe Pangaro. Now, one of the things that none of us like to talk about, but is a reality of this career in law enforcement, corrections, anything to do with law enforcement, is the reality that we could have to make the ultimate sacrifice. We could die in the line of duty. Nobody likes to talk about it. When it happens, we grieve. Our communities grieve, our families grieve. Sometimes we look at it closely to see what happened so we can learn those lessons. Other times we do not. Sometimes it's hard for us to see what happened. Were mistakes made? Nobody wants to point a finger when an officer dies. But I think we have to. I think we have to look at those things and understand them completely so that we can all learn so that nobody else gets killed. Well, recently we've had a tragedy. It's terrible when an agency loses one officer, but when they lose two at the same time, that's devastating. It's just compounded to think of two officers dying in a single incident. And Virginia Beach recently had that happen. Officer Chris Reese, 30 years old, and Officer Camrron Girvin, 25, 25 years old, lost their lives in the line of duty. Now, the reports say that they were ambushed, uh, but we know this goes on day and night. And I want to say a prayer for their families. And I want to hope that there's a loving God that looks over them and helps them through this terrible grieving period. But it's not something we should just listen to and then move on, because you know what? 2 weeks before these officers died in the line of duty, there were other officers. And right now, some of you that are listening to me, that are watching this show, you might end up dead in the line of duty. Now, that's a terrible thing to say, but isn't it true? We've only just started this year, and there's already many officers we lost. So I want to remember those officers. I want to think about all the officers on the wall when you go down to Washington and you see that monument with their names on it, and it's unbelievable. I did a whole career. I did 27 years, and I knew officers that died. I knew one officer personally who was killed in the line of duty, was murdered, ambushed, and killed, and it was terrible. But I went to other funerals of officers who died in the line of duty. Some died in car crashes, some died by the hand of criminals. And then we all know many, many more officers, our brothers and sisters, take their own lives. So this is not a fun topic. This is not for us to talk about, but we need to talk about it. You know, go over safety and security with your officers. Talk to each other. Learn about these incidents and find out. Now, I don't know that Officer Reese and Officer Girvin did anything wrong. I'm not saying that. It sounds like they were ambushed, and that's a horrible thing. You know, when I was on the job, people didn't ambush cops like they do you now. You are subject to these ambushes everywhere because of the nature of the world that we live in now. So we have to be more careful. We have to be more cautious. We have to train better. We have to stick together, right? Brothers and sisters, we have to stick together as law enforcement. I've been at this long enough to see us go from heroes to zeros and back again. And the tide is turning. People are again looking at law enforcement as an important thing. Crime is out of control. Criminals are out of control. And you're starting to see people are sick of it. And they're supporting us more and more and more. Well, I support you. I support you all. I pray for you every single day. You know, I meet so many of you when I do training classes. I provide training for officers across the country, online and in person. And I meet so many of you, and I got to tell you how proud I am of all of you. You know, when I stepped out of the active duty status, I kind of had this feeling that geez, I hope I never need to call a cop because I'm not on duty anymore. I'm not active duty. And I got to tell you, you've all been magnificent. And I see you, I talk to you, and I am very proud of you. I know you have us all in good hands out there. So I just want to say this and remember these two particular officers, and because there will be more. And I hope it's Hope it stops and hope we don't have any more, right? But this is the one job where part of your service might be giving your life at the altar of freedom. So be safe, be careful, stick together, look out for each other, do the right things, and do a great job out there, because without you, our country would fall apart in minutes. God bless the fallen, and God bless those who stand and stand tall.